Okay, hi guys, and welcome to this video on simple quadratic equations. Okay, before we begin, let's just define the word quadratic, or even what does quadratic equation actually mean. So the word quadratic comes from the Latin word quadratus, which means square. Now, with an equation, we usually have some sort of expression equaling something else. Now, the word square will relate to the power here. The power of 2 is squared. So we need to have something in front of the x squared. Now, it can't be 0, but it can be anything else, not 0. Sometimes it'll have something with an x, sometimes it'll have a constant term. It doesn't necessarily have to have those two. But it does have to have a power of 2 in the expression. So here are a few different examples of quadratic equations. Here we've got x squared plus 7x equals 0, where a equals 1, the coefficient of x squared is 1, the b value is equal to 7, and we don't have a constant. Over here, there's no b value, but our constant is negative 16. Here we have a 1x squared plus a 6x plus a 9 equals 0. And over here we have a different quadratic equation. Now, the highest number of solutions we can have, or the most number of solutions, is going to be 2. Normally when we've seen equations, we've got one solution, but here we can have 2. Sometimes we have 1, sometimes we don't have any. But the maximum number of solutions for quadratic equations is 2. Alright, let's solve this simple quadratic equation where it says 4x squared is equal to 100. So that actually is represented by 4 multiplied by what number, then you square that number, is equal to 100. It's not 4x in brackets all squared, it's 4 multiplied by x squared. Alright, step number 1, divide both sides by 4. And if you divide this expression by 4, you get x squared. Dividing 100 by 4, we get 25. And square root both sides, we get x equals the positive square root of 25 and also the negative square root of 25. And we write that as plus or minus 5. So this expression here means we have a negative 5 and we have a positive 5. Now, we can always test our solutions in equations to find out if our solution is a correct solution. So by testing it, we get both of these solutions, sub that into our equation to see or to verify that we have got it correct. Okay, so we got 4 multiplied by x squared. So I'm going to test the positive one first. So 4 times 5 squared is the same as 4 times 25, which equals the right-hand side, 100. That's true. So that means 5 is a correct answer. Substitute our other answer, the negative 5. 4 times negative 5 all squared is the same as 4 times 25, which is the same as 100. That's also true. So we have our two correct solutions, negative 5 or positive 5. Now later on we'll actually look at this particular question in a different way, and we'll solve it by using the difference of two squares. So keep this question in mind when we come up to looking at different methods to see if you can answer it later on. Alright, pause the video, have a go at this question, and I will go through the solution in a moment. Okay, so like the previous one, we divide by the coefficient of x squared. Here we're going to divide both sides by 2. So divide by 2, divide by 2. Then we have x squared is equal to 36. Take the square root of both sides. So the square root of this and the square root of that. So we end up getting plus or minus 6. make sure that we can verify that this is correct. So 2 times 6 squared, which is the same as 2 times 36, 72. That is correct, so that's true. Same thing with a negative 6, sub that in, it's also 72. That's true, so both of those solutions are correct. Positive and negative 6. Okay, so I know the question previously looked like x squared is equal to positive 36, but what happens if the question said x squared is equal to a negative number? So keep in mind that x squared is a number multiplied by itself. So a number multiplied by itself, can we ever get a negative answer? And the answer is no. X squared can never be a negative. It can be 0, and it can be any positive number, but as soon as it becomes negative, we don't have a solution. So we can just write no solution if we had a negative. Okay, pause the video, have a go at these next 2 questions, and I'll put the solutions, or sorry, the answers up there in a minute. Okay, so question 3, we have x equals plus or minus the square root of 13 in exact form. And question 4, we have x is equal to plus or minus 8. Okay, thank you for watching this video on simple quadratic equations.